and we're going to grow from happiness to the beautiful thing we like to talk about, which is making money, and how we give tzedakah, how donating or giving creates a whole nother level, both in our doing, in our business, and in our feelings and everything that we do. How a Jew, as Rabbi, as the Rebbe would say, would speak a lot about the Lubavitch Rebbe would speak a lot about the fact that a Jew is a giver. That if you want to connect to Judaism, you give. And you give to anyone that is connected to you by different rounds, and that's a great thing. But I want to go back to the to what ETL explained, that you grow things with being happy, meaning we'll take it to another statement from the Pirkei Avot, the chapter of the Father, a very famous Mishnah, that Ezu Ashir, who is considered rich, Hasameach bechelko, a person who's content with his wealth, with his part. So that's the simple translation. But what we want to say is, who is rich? Someone that's happy. And again, we said happy is growth from his part. So in simple language, a rich person is a person that invests. If you want to be rich, you got to take what you have and being very happy. And marbim b'simcha, we grow, we add out of being happy. So who is a rich person? The one who invests and grows what he has, doing that by being happy, by being simcha, by being joyful. So we spoke about it more last week, that the first Rebbe of Chabad, the Alter Rebbe, said that a happy person is a winner. And a winner is many times, definitely if he's trying, is wealthy. I wanna still take the first part of time that we have, the first part of the study group, and dwell on last week's wonders. In last week's wonders, we had a whole plan, a whole step of how to go from being sad to being happy, from atzvut, which the literal translation is being sad, and all the way to being happy. So we said that let's try to look into it a little bit more. Let's talk about being sad. Why is a person sad? If you go in the street and you see someone and he's sad, why is he sad? Why are we sad? Why am I sad? What is this? What is sadness? I mean, kids are very rarely sad, but they're also sad. What is sad? Sad is that I have an imagination of something that I deserve or that should be given to me, and I don't have that thing. Let's give an example. I imagine that I should have, $1 billion in my bank account, and I only have a couple dollars. Let's make it a simpler example. I'm a kid. I imagine that I should have this ball and I should have won this game, and I didn't. That is what makes me sad. But if we look into it more deeply, the problem with sadness is that it's the same thing as being haughty, as being a Baal Gaiva, a very insensitive person to God, that we're saying, because you expect things. Who said that you deserve the ball, the money, anything that you expect? So being sad in a simple sense is very is another way of being a Baal Gaiva, a very haughty person, a person that feels himself very much. And the more you feel yourself, the more you expect things, the more sad that you get. So if we speak about a very wealthy person, if he feels that he should have that very fancy car or something very fancy or anything that he desires, a plane or crazy things, and he doesn't get it, he's sad. And you look at him and you say, why are you sad? You have all the money that you can buy, all the simple stuff, the food, the house, the basic things that you need. Why are you sad? No. I'm sad because I need that plane. So being sad is a very interesting or weird thing to look at when you look at it this way. That being sad, again, what is the way we look at it? Is my expectation what I think I should get versus what I am getting. And the worst sadness is being mad. Mad is 10 times sad. It's someone that expects something so much that when he doesn't get it, he's not just sad about it, he's mad about it. That's the worst. But being sad is one side of the equation in this process that Rabbi Ginzburg taught us, that was brought, again, it was from the Brit. Oh, we didn't say that the study group is Refuah Shalema, should have a speedy and should be in good health, to our Rav Yitzchak Feivish ben Breina Malka, to our friend Bluma Bat Ginen Del Tova, and to my sons Levi Auvia ben Ayala and Racha Nolad ben Ayala, that they should all be healthy, in great health and very speedy recovery from their health issues. But we're going back to the shiur that we brought last week that was given in the bris of my son Levi Auvia, that Rabbi Ginzburg showed us a process, an amazing wonder of a process of how to get from being sad to being happy. Again, this month is the month of Adar, is the Jewish month of Adar, a Jewish month of happiness, and we want to learn how to be happy. And the opposite of happiness is being sad. So what do we say? We say to people, don't be sad, be happy. But how can you do that? I mean, a person is sad. He was expecting to get the raise in his position, or expecting to keep his job, and he didn't have it. He was expecting for his kids to behave, and they didn't. He was expecting for his wife to, et cetera, and he didn't get what he expected, that person. How can he be happy? He's sad. So Rabbi Ginzburg teaches us a process that takes one side of the equation, which is sadness, and flips it all the way to being happy. And again, this is based on Tanya, of the teaching of the first Rebbe of Chabad, the Alter Rebbe. So when we have two things that are so far apart, being happy and being sad, there is an intermediary, what's called a memutza. Literal translation could be an average, but it's an in-between, an intermediary item that helps us switch from being sad to being happy, and that is being bitter. We spoke about it a little bit last week. We touched on it. So again, if you're sad, you're just sad. If you're bitter, you're taking the things that you have expected and you didn't get them, and you say, how do I get them? So being bitter is taking out of just being sad and thinking that, oh, it's so sad, to being it's like a call for action. You're taking it, you're bitter about it, and you're saying, this is bad. I didn't get the ball that I wanted to get in the game. I'm going to get back in the game, and I'm going to get that ball and win the game. Or I didn't get the job that I wanted. I'm going to get back into interviews. I'm going to find a job, and I'm going to do well on it. So that's being bitter, and that leads to happiness. But there's a problem. And as the generation go down, we don't know how to make that process that easy. So Rabbi Ginzburg teaches us another two steps, an average, an intermediate between sad and bitter, and an average between being bitter to being happy. And those are the two beautiful new wonders that Rabbi Ginzburg teaches us. So let's start by learning about how you get from being sad to being bitter. And the answer to that is, and we'll dwell on it, is shiflus, is being humble by way of noticing your place, noticing where you are compared to what you're thinking of yourself. So for example, let's talk about a person that's expecting to have a lot of money in the bank and he doesn't have it. So the first step is, I wanted something, I don't have it, I'm sad. But then when you really think about it, you think about what you deserve, what you have done, where you're standing, who you are versus God, versus the bigger picture, you realize that whatever you have, let's say a person is expecting to have a lot of money and has a little, even that little, you're worth that, maybe even not even that. So even what you do have is a gift from God. So going from being sad to being in shiflut by being humble, I'm sure there's better translations. If someone wants to, you can chip in. But the basic movement that I want to do is I want to become from being sad to being humble. And how do we do that? The basic thing is we think of God. We think of how far we are from Him, where we stand in the world. Once you start thinking of God, you get perspective. And when you have perspective, you're starting to not be so sad because you're not thinking so much of yourself. And again, the more you're sad, the more the things you expect didn't happen, the more you have to think of God. To the level that you think that you don't deserve anything in this world. Everything you were given, this body that you were given, this world, this whole thing is a complete gift. You didn't do anything for it. The fact that God put you in this world, in this body, in this place, in this situation is one big gift. So that's the first step, getting out of being sad. What does that step supposed to do to you? It's supposed to tell you, wait a minute. If God is in charge and I'm connected to Him, now I want to get things done. You're back in the game. You're out of the fact that you have failed, that you wanted something and you didn't get it. And you're in the place of you have unlimited potential because you have God on your side. And we'll learn about this more, Bezrat Hashem, as we get to this week's wonder that I have the cover page right on the screen. We're going to learn more about how you achieve things by being connected to God, even in the simplest manner, even in running a business. So again, we said from being sad to being humble or shiftless, you need to think of God. And that's the first step. When you think of God, the next step is to become bitter in a sense that you say to yourself, okay, what I have is not good, but I have potential. And that is the sense of being bitter. That's the intermediary, that's the step that you can take towards being happy, and not just being happy, but doing something in this world. Okay, so now we're bitter. What do? We start doing. Okay, you wanted to have more money, let's say. You say, okay, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna invest. I'm gonna do something to make more money. And if you're connected, you're on target. You're gonna start achieving things. What's the problem? You're gonna get back in the same loop because you're always gonna have things that doesn't go according to plan. So you can stay in the loop of saying every time something doesn't go to plan that okay, I'm bitter. I'm humble. I'm nothing. So anything I do get is a blessing, and that's it. That's a very low level. We want to jump higher. So the next level is being modest. Another. Again, the translation is not my best take. I'm sure Moshe can note if anyone wants to ask, and he's very good at these things. But the next step from being bitter is being humble. Is not being humble, is being modest. Modest means that I'm saying to myself, I do have qualities. I have qualities. I'm good at, let's say, for example, someone's trying to make money. The first step that, if someone comes to me, to anyone, and ask him, what do I do to make money? You say, what are you good at? If you want to make money, what are you good at? Okay? And someone says, well, I'm very good at computers. Okay? I can put a program together very easily. I'm always good at it. Okay? So we say, okay, so go work in computers. And that's where you can grow. So you take your bitterness that we spoke about, the fact that you don't have money, you use it to look at what you're good at and start doing it. Okay, but there's a catch. Because if you hold yourself as something real, if you believe that I'm good at it, this way I'm supposed to get it, you're not modest about it, you'll fall to the same trap. Because there will always be things that you expected that didn't happen. So you'll fall in the same trap of, God forbid, of being sad. So how do we get to the next level? By being modest with saying, yes, I have powers, I have gifts from God, but they are just that, gifts from God. They're not mine. And therefore, anything that I do, anything that I'm successful at, is not because of me, which is a trap. Because if you think it's because of you, you start expecting it. And then boom, you're back into step one. Expectations leads to failure in this world. You don't want to expect things because you are good. You want to expect things because God wants you to succeed. So if you're remembering God by being modest, again, in the first step, we were humble. We were thinking of ourselves as not deserving anything. It's more of like a prayer. In this step, we are very strongly about what we're good at. We're, for example, good at computers. And I'm going to go at it, and I'm going to get the job that I want, or the company that I want to create, et cetera, et cetera. I'm good at it. Okay, so if I'm good at it, there's a trap. I could fail. So the way to pass that trap is to say, I'm only good at it because of God, because it's a gift from God. And if he wants you, he can take it. And if I'm not connected, then it may not work. That leads me to the last step of being happy. If I'm looking at the world this way, I'm able to be happy. I'm able to take my actions, and even anything that happens to me, anything in the world, I can always be happy. Because again, I take it from being sad, realizing that this sadness is because I'm thinking too much of myself and not thinking of God. So being humble, taking the humbleness and saying, okay, but God is with me and I can get stuff done. And anything that you do get done, saying the only reason I'm successful is because of God. But then you're able to enjoy the success without the trap of feeling yourself. So with this, we'll end this part and walk into our this week's wonders. But I'll just summarize the way that a person goes from being sad to being happy is by following these steps. Wonderful wonder that I'm sure could be spoken. Like you can literally, the wonder that Rabbi Ginzburg taught us at the bris of my Levi Ovia son could literally have a book written on it, and beautiful things that you can take it for a relationship, whether it's between husband and wife, or parents and kids and family. It could be used in order to have healthy relationship and happy relationship. It could be used in business, as we touched a little bit, how to grow a business and make good money. It could be used in learning, if you want to learn something, whether it's secular studies or have it, of course, to go into Torah or Jewish studies. Everything could change if you're using this step properly, if you're using this method that Rabbi Ginzburg dwelled on in that wonder. And with that, we'll get to this week. And this week's wonders, which again, I urge everyone, and I say this again, and I will say it again, to read, if you can read the Hebrew of it. If not, maybe have a chavrusa with someone that could. The wonders of the week. And in this week, we're going to go into being happy about giving, how giving makes you happy. So Rabbi Ginzburg starts with what we started, Mishenichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha, that in Adar, in this month of Adar, and we'll speak about the word Adar, what does that mean? But it's the current Jewish month. We add by Simcha, and what is the height of the Simcha of this month? What is the highest point of the month? And that is our famous holiday, Purim. That is the happiest time of year. Definitely the way you look at Jews, everyone's very, very happy. The mitzvah, and again, we spoke about mitzvah, on the one hand, commandment, on the other hand, how to be a tzavta, be connected to God in the month of Adar, and especially in the holiday of Purim is the mitzvah of being happy, of Marbim B'Simcha, of Simcha itself. It speaks about the month and it says that this month, Chachamim say that it's Barya Mazale v'Tkifim Mazale, meaning the word Mazel is normally translated to luck, but the highest level of Mazel is the inspiration, let's call it. It's not an exact, I know it's not exact translation, and we spoke about that a little bit, but the mazel of this month, the inspiration of this month, let me, 1 second, let me open the chat. Okay, very good. The inspiration of this month is, number one, to be healthy. Bari Mazale, it's a healthy inspiration. And we know that there is a guide that if you can pick a date for a courthouse, for a court hearing with someone that's non-Jewish that wants to sue you for something, the best month to do it is Adar, is this month, because it's a healthy month. And also Takif Mazal, it's a strong month. If you want to do something, if you want to invest, if you want to do something, this is the month. This is the month where everything is strong and healthy. And this healthiness gives us power, gives us koach to win the fight with Amalek. The evil side of that exists in this world, that one of the we're not going to go into Amalek so much, but we know that Haman, the evil character in the holiday of Purim, the one that wanted to exterminate the Jews, he was a descendant of Amalek. And if we want to win, we want to, as the story, hang Haman on a tree, as we sing and speak about the Purim. You have to have a very healthy and strong inspiration or mazel or luck in order to do that. And Rabbi Ginzburg points out that that Haman was hung on a tree that's 50 amot. Amot is a little bit more than a foot high. That's a very, very tall tree that he was hung on. And the other side of it is we want to be holding in that level, meaning we want to be in all 50 gates. There's Chamishim Sharei Bina, 50 gates of knowledge, of understanding, that you can be on the other side of Haman. I'm going to skip a little bit, even though Rabbi Ginzburg dwells on the mitzvahs of Purim, and he points out that the biggest mitzvah of Purim is tzedakah. This is very important, that tzedakah, and this will dwell on a little bit more, tzedakah is the way to win. Tzidkato omedet la'ad, the mitzvah of nitzchit shel hayudi, the most eternal mitzvah, the biggest mitzvah that a Jew can have is the mitzvah of tzedakah, of giving. It says that on Purim we want to be happy, we want to drink, the simple explanation, until we get to the point that we don't know the difference between the good guy and the bad guy. Meaning, not chas v'shalom that we think that Mordechai, the good guy, is chas v'shalom not good, but more that we look at Haman, the bad guy, and say, okay, he's fine. He also has a point to him, and that's a very high level. So Rabbi Ginzburg says the same thing about the mitzvah of tzedakah. You want to give to the point that it's above your regular knowledge. Meaning giving, if you're giving, always when we're calculating giving, okay, so someone comes to you on the street and says, can you donate to this and this cause? So you calculate, you say, okay, I have in my wallet, let's say $100, I'm going to give this guy $5 or $10 or whatever amount that I calculated that is a good amount. But the highest level of this giving is to give to the level that there's no common sense or knowledge or given. Let's say, for example, you could go all in and give the guy the full $100 that you have. We know that if it's a very high cause that you're very connected to, you may actually do that. If someone meets you on the street and says, oh, you know that neighbor? Oh, yeah, that great guy. Yeah, he's suffering from this big thing. He needs money right away. So you say, okay, take the full $100. So doing something above your day-to-day knowledge is connecting to the happiness of the month of Adar, and the highest point of that is the holiday of Purim. Rabbi Ginzburg speaks about the biggest given is to the most important cause, and most important cause, as we're talking, is to give knowledge and extend the light and the light of Mashiach, of Geula, of redemption in all levels, of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism in all levels. So the best investment that you can give, that you can invest to, is to this great cause of giving out the wealth of knowledge of Torah, because that's the investment that gets us to Mashiach. So very important, connected to the cause that we have, obviously, and we want everyone to be part of that cause. Again, even in a small amount, but being connected, being part of it. Rabbi Ginzburg explains a little bit more about how. Okay, we'll dwell on this point a little bit. And again, I urge everyone to read this in detail. We don't have a lot more time, and I do want to get to a couple more points and dwell on them more. But anyone that has time should read fully this and the whole wonders of the week. But there's a question in Niglan, simple explanation of Hefker, of if I want to take something out of my possession and just give it to the world and let anyone that wants take it, how it comes about. Does it come about from the fact that I'm giving it to someone? If I'm taking something that I have and saying anyone that wants can have it, that thing, why is it becoming not mine? Is it because I'm giving it to someone? Or is it because I'm basically making a vow that if anyone comes, it's his? So it's a question, but tzedakah is definitely something that comes from a vow. I commit to donating, and once you commit, you can make. You can't give a kinyan, you can't sell something if it doesn't exist. So if you are saying, if I had a coat that belongs to anyone that wants, no, that doesn't work, because if you don't have it, you can't sell it. But you could commit it, meaning you could make a vow that when I get a coat, I vow that it belongs to anyone that wants. So that is fine. Tzedakah is the same thing. You can commit to something even though you don't have it. And that's one of the secrets of tzedakah, that you can say, okay, I'm going to make money this year. I'm going to make, let's say my expectation is to make $1 million in the next 6 months. I'm going to give, out of that money that I'm going to make, I'm going to give 200,000 to tzedakah, or 100,000 or 50,000, whatever the amount is. So I'm allowed to do that because I'm counting on the fact that I will get it, and I'm creating a vow for it. Now, why is it important? Because it creates a statement in this world. So, for example, let's take it to something else. If you want to be a successful businessman, what's one of the basic teachings that anyone in the world that teaches business will tell you is you got to set a goal. You got to say to yourself, I want to be, let's say, creating this program that will make X amount of money in X amount of time. So I'm setting a goal. The more that you believe in that goal, the more you have a chance of success. And the biggest belief is if you're willing to already take from the profits that you're going to make and already give some money to tzedakah. And the more that you're connected to that, the more that you believe it. And the more that you believe it, the more chance that it will happen. It's a complicated look. We won't dwell on it even more, but it's a way of making things happen. And this also works spiritually. If you say to God, listen, I'm spending money for things that you want us to do, for mitzvahs, for getting close to you, he has more incentive to give you that money. So that's also a way of looking at it. Rabbi Ginzburg dwells a little bit on Shabbat. Shabbat, Saturday, the highest day of the week, is a day where you basically take everything that you have and you're mafkir it. You're giving it to. You're not investing in it. So, for example, someone has a business, someone has a job. On Saturday, you don't work, you don't connect to it, you don't make money. What do you do on that day? You only connect to God. You're happy. You stop the game for one day. So anyone that's connected to Shabbos well understands that he can plug in and plug out. And that understanding alone allows you to give tzedakah. So it says that here, let me find the psukim. That shemesh b'Shabbat, the sun on Shabbat, it's tzedakah la'aniyim. That shemesh, the sun always gives light. That's like giving charity, giving tzedakah to poor people. And also tzlot of the Shabbat, the prayer that we give on Shabbat is also tzedakah to Anani. So we see a connection between the mitzvah of charity of giving and Shabbat, Saturday, the highest day of the week. What is the connection? And I'll say it in my words, also because we're running out of time, but I want to connect to that. Is that when you look at this world as something very serious, as something that has a way of its own, then you cannot have a day off, and you cannot give tzedakah because the things it's a very serious game. But if you're looking at this world as something that has Shabbat, that has a higher point, a higher purpose, a higher day in the week, you can also look at the world and say, okay, there's a higher purpose to money, for example, and I can give and I can donate. Again, I'm going back to business. Again, if you want to be a good business guy, you got to believe enough to be able to say, I don't have to. The rule in business, we will not get into it. The less you do, the more you make. We won't get into it much, but the concept is, if you believe that you're above this game, that the game is a game that you're playing because you want to play it, not because you have to play it, and here the proof to that is that you can take a day off, you will be able to play it much better. You'll be able to be more connected to winning. And that part, the giving, allows you to put a stamp to it. That I'm not. You can see that a person that's connected to giving is a person that feels that he's wealthy. By the way, a very interesting thing in Judaism is that we expect even a poor person to give tzedakah. Even if you're going and collecting charity, you're sitting in the bench and saying, I need money. From the money that you get, you give tzedakah too. We're givers. Giving creates the ability to be above the day-to-day. And the more you give, the more you're able to raise above it. And with the fact that we have a little bit of time, we'll dwell on the last subject, that very, very important saying, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan, who the gematria, the numbers of the numerical value, if we want to be exact, of Rabbi Yochanan is Purim, is this holiday of Purim. But Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Rabbi Elazar beRabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Elazar, who is the son of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, famous Rashbi. He says, Harotzeh Sheitkaimu nechasav, if you want your property, your assets, to be long-lasting, to be secured, let's call it in today's world, itabaim adar, you should plant in them this thing called adar. What is adar? So Rabbi Ginzburg said the simple explanation is a big, good tree. If you have a really good tree, it will remind everyone that this property is yours. Everyone will say, "Oh, that's the property with the tree." So it creates a memory to it. But the explanations that people say that adar, you can change the word to. Let me see it right here. So it's not counted on the word, but adar is giving, is tzedakah. So again, if you want your property, and this Rabbi Ginzburg dwells on the word neches, asset in Hebrew, has nun, chet, and samech. And the chet, the chaf, I'm sorry. The chaf belongs to tzedakah. So if you want your asset to stay an asset and not to be only nun and samech, which creates the word nas, to run away from you, if you want your asset to stay with you and not run away, you have to put into it the giving, the charity, the tzedakah. That keeps your asset long lasting. Again, there's a beautiful wonder that Rabbi Ginzburg goes into that explains that also Yagdil Torah v'Yadir, that if you want your Torah, your studies, you have to grow it, as we said, grow it in Marbim Besimcha, to grow it from being happy, and then v'Yadir, the Adar, the end of it is Mashiach, as it says that. Not just Mashiach, it's also the studies of Mashiach, the Torah of Mashiach. Let's say it simply: if you want your studies to be long-lasting, you have to make it relevant. And relevant is Mashiach. Every generation has a Moshe Rabbeinu, has a leader of the generation, and that leader gives us a Torah, gives us teaching that is relevant. And if you want your teaching to stay, if you want to be able to connect to Torah, to Chaz v'Shalom, not to be separated from it, you must connect by learning also Yitaba Adar, by learning the Torah that's relevant to this generation. As we have a lot of studies from the Lubavitch Rebbe, and we have Rabbi Ginzburg's things, and we have these things that are connecting to this generation, and that's what keeps us being able to keep the asset, in this case the studies, the Torah, the God's knowledge, to keep it long lasting, is by adding this part. If you're a Chaz v'Shalom, if someone ignores the relevant Torah and only learns what's been given to us by past generation, which is the bulk of the study, but he doesn't have within it the Adar, this big tree, this big connection to the relevance, Chas v'Shalom, it could be a Torah that doesn't last. But in order to last, in order every generation, in order to grow, you must plant in it this relevant Torah, this Torah of Mashiach that's connecting. There's a bunch more to learn and to dwell on, but we're already over our time. So we'll just we'll say one last thing and then we'll summarize. So one thing that we have to be is being happy, and the Lubavitch Rebbe had a saying that simcha, being happy, being simcha betahara, being happy and pure, is being happy because we're happy, and that's the mitzvah of Purim. Why are you happy? If there's an answer to it, then you're not really happy. You're happy just because. You can say you're happy because you're born. You can say you're happy because you have this body. You're happy because you're Jewish. We wake up every day and we say we're happy to be givers. We're happy to be part of this great thing, of these great wonders. Very happy. But the purest simcha, the purest happiness is being happy just because you're happy. And that's Mashiach. Mashiach, the letters of Mashiach is Yismach and Yesamach. Being happy by himself and making other people happy. And that happiness doesn't come because of a reason. As we said in the beginning of the study group, that once you have reasons, you start going into trouble. The basic happiness of a Jew, and this Rabbi Ginzburg teaches us, and with this we'll end this part and then we'll give a quick summary, is being happy just because. Just because you're Jewish, you can say just because you're waking up in the morning. But being happy, the purest happiness is just being happy. So we'll summarize a little bit what we said. We said first the levels that Rabbi Ginzburg taught us last week, that we dwelled a little bit on them, of going all the way from being sad, which is the worst level, to being happy. And we said there's in between those two levels that are so different from each other, there are 3 intermediary levels. And then we spoke about that being happy, which is this month, allows you to grow things. And the way you grow them is by being a giver. And if you plant giving within your wealth, your assets, it will be long lasting. For many reasons, we went into it a little bit. The last thing we said is the same thing with your Torah. If you want your studies, if you want your Torah to last, you got to plant in them the relevant Torah, the Torah of Mashiach, and that would make it last. So again, I urge everyone to be part of this campaign. And really, the giving is not for other people. Rabbi Ginzburg teaches us that there's 2 types of givers. There's a giver because, like the melo kafnacha, that you can be a giver because someone forces you to, puts a hand on you and says, "Come on, man, you got to donate." That's one level. It's an important level, but it's one level. The highest level is the kaf, could be from the word kanaf, from a wing. You're giving because you want to give, because you want to be part of it. That's the real giving. That's the happy giver. You know, you call someone to donate to a cause. You could say, okay, you know, you're calling me. I have to do. I don't want to come out not looking good. Whatever is the worst way of donating. It's still a donation. It will still be a long-lasting thing. It still creates wealth in all level, in spiritual and physical. It's still good. Even if you're giving because of a bad cause, at least you're giving. But the highest level, the happiest level, is being given because you have wings and you can fly with them.